Learn shortcuts to incredibly speed up your workflow. If you learn all of these shortcuts, your production time will go down by more than half, so it's definitely worth taking the time to learn. Select A to bring up automation. Control D duplicates a clip, Control C cuts a clip, Control V pastes a clip, Control A selects all of the clips, Control E will snip and cut the clip, Control S saves the session, Control Z will back out what you just did, and Control Y will bring it back. Selecting free clips and pressing Control J will consolidate the clips. Pressing Tab will move you between arrangement and session view. If you select a section, just pressing Z will zoom you to that selection. If you press X, it will zoom you back out. Pressing Ctrl L will loop that selection. Pressing Ctrl and Alt will let you move the entire song position to any part of the screen you want without affecting the track. Selecting Shift and plus will expand the screen. Pressing Shift and minus will make it small again. Pressing Alt and plus will make the track longer. Pressing Alt and minus will make it shorter. Pressing Ctrl and R will rename your clip, and you can also use the same thing to rename your track. Control Shift and E will allow you to export your MIDI. Pressing O will deactivate any audio or MIDI clip, and if you press O again, it becomes reactivated. Pressing R will reverse your clip, and pressing R again will just bring it back. And this also works for MIDI clips. Pressing Ctrl U on any MIDI or audio clip will quantize it. Pressing Ctrl I will insert a marker, and pressing B within a grid will take you to draw mode. If you click it again, it will take you back to pointer. So if you select a track and press Ctrl A, you'll select all of the tracks. And if you press 0, you will mute all of the tracks at the same time. And pressing Ctrl A and then Ctrl G will group all the tracks. Pressing Ctrl Shift and G will ungroup the track. If you press Ctrl A and then click on record arm, it will record arm all the tracks. And if you press Ctrl A and select solo, it will solo all the tracks. Similarly, if you press Ctrl A and then you change the setting, it will change the values in relation to each other. And this includes all values, including panning and volume. At any point, you can create a new audio track by pressing Ctrl T. You can also create a new MIDI track by pressing Ctrl Shift and T. And then finally, you can create a return track at any point by pressing Ctrl Alt and T. And the same commands for adding tracks also work in Session View. And the same commands for toggling mixer and inserts work in Session View. Control K will allow you to edit the key mapping. Control M will allow you to edit MIDI mapping. So if you want to play MIDI on your keyboard, press M and you can see the MIDI symbol come up. I'm just playing on my keyboard. And if I want to increase the octave, just press X or press Z to bring it back down. Pressing Alt and U will allow all of the tracks to unfold to their original position. Pressing H will allow them to unfold but to the same length. Pressing Ctrl Alt and B will hide the browser view, and pressing it again will bring it back. Pressing Ctrl Alt and O will show you the overview, and if you press it again, it will get rid of it. Ctrl Alt and R will hide or display the return tracks. Pressing Ctrl Alt and L will hide or display the clip view. One super cool trick is pressing F9 to start the recording. And you can press F9 again to stop the recording. Control Shift and F will follow the progression of the song. If you click it again, it will stop the progression. Control 1 will make the grid smaller. Have a look at that. And Control 2 will make the grid bigger. Control 3 will add a triplet grid. Control 4 will display or hide the grid. And finally, Control 5 will toggle between a fixed or adaptive grid. On your keyboard, pressing up will just bring you up all of the tracks, and pressing left or right will just minimize or expand the tracks. Control Alt and G will display or hide the groove pool. Pressing Shift and Tab will toggle between the clip and device view. Pressing Ctrl Alt and P will show or hide a plugin. If you select any volume knob in Ableton, pressing up or down on your keyboard will move them down or up depending on which one you've selected. Selecting any track in Ableton and pressing 0 will disable it. Pressing 0 again will bring it back.